homeworks. Let's talk about that part. So I haven't seen Yasir and Muiz for a month almost. I mean, in the class. So for that, we will start with, I believe, Muiz. Previous weeks, previous sessions homework. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, sure. I can discuss that as well.
Okay.
But I also prepared for this week. I mean,
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. So the first homework that I prepared about was the compilation of the Quran. Hold on, I'm just opening my Word document. So I went through the standard sort of Sahih Bukhari Hadith collection, where it discusses, the reasons why the process of compilation was done, and that's pretty much standard. I think Christian had spoken about some of that in the last class as well. So instead of going over that part, which is directly from the Hadith, I found another source that was interesting because it was like this evangelical Christian website, which was trying to disprove the Quran's divine word in a sense. And so obviously they are biased as a source as well, but I found that as a very detailed collection of information about what other things were happening at that time. So one of the key things that I found was that Ibn Masud reacted very differently when he learned that Zayd bin Thabit's text was supposed to receive official status. So he is supposed to have said that he recited from the Messenger of Allah 70 surahs, which he had perfected before Zayd bin Thabit had even embraced Islam. And so, in a sense, he felt that he was the one who should have been listened to more during this compilation process, but he was completely ignored. And in fact, not just ignored, he was also told that you have to destroy our collection and not use that at all. And so I found that part interesting. So one of the things that Ibn Masud refused to include was the first surah, Fatiha, and the last two surahs, which he said that those had just been revealed as incantations to ward off evil rather than actually as part of the Quran, or as surahs. And apparently there was also some violence between, Uthman and the third Khalifa and Ibn Masud when they had an argument.
Just quick correction, don't misunderstand, but this is not about compilation, this is about the reproduction of it.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, because in the reproduction, Osman decided to destroy entire codices which belong to other companions, right? Okay. That's what you are referring, right?
Can you explain the difference again? Sorry.
So, okay, if you remember from the first week, we said that Quran, this is historically claimed, by the way. In Orthodoxy, it is claimed this way. Quran was collected during the Abu Bakr's time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And made some. They made some copies, actually 6 or 7 or changes. They made some copies during Osman, and they destroyed the other codices, the other Qurans the companion of the Prophet had. So that's why there are 2 times that major times. In one, the compilation happened, the collection happened. In the second, they kind of wrote more copies and sent them other cities, and collected the ones that existed in those cities.
Oh, I see. Okay, so I guess then I focused on that second part.
No, about Ibn Masud, he talks about first part and the second part. First part is when he says that, I had I already memorized 70 surahs from Quran while Zayd was not born.
I see. So that was
this is about the first part. But the second part, when he was beaten or he had some violence against him during Osman's time.
I see. Okay. All right. Yeah. So then, that was, I guess I sort of mixed up those two things together. So I think that part I found really interesting in terms of how his voice was completely ignored. But at the same time, there was also another incident when the compilation was happening, and one of the companions could only produce himself as the witness for one of the verses, but his testimony was taken to be twice, because apparently the Prophet had said that your testimony is worth twice the value of one man's testimony, so we don't need a second witness um, to include your verse in the Quran. But also, the problem with that approach was that the rule said as long as any two people say that the verse can be is in the Quran, then we'll accept this, irrespective. I guess, did that mean irrespective of what anybody else said? Like if 10 people opposed it, but 2 people said it's there?
It was almost that way, it seems, but oppositions, we don't really know too much. We only know few oppositions, but then again, they were made to someone who didn't bring any other witness.
Okay.
Yeah, when Omar wanted to include the verses about stoning the old man and woman who commit adultery, he tried to put those verses in Quran, and Zayd said, no, I don't remember, and no one else does remember, so that we can't include. There, Zayd was opposing, and many others as well, but they were opposing. I am not sure. I can't say they were opposing of the verse. They were opposing that there is no one else saying that they are a part of Quran.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
It seems maybe. I am not sure. I don't know how to tell this, but it seems any two people, if they brought hadith, Quran, a verse, it would be taken. Any Muslim, righteous, pious, accepted Sahaba.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Woman, if it is woman, it should be more.
Right. The final thing that I saw was, according to Shiite scholars, some Shiite scholars, apparently there was a whole surah called Al-Wilaya, which had been removed from the official compilation. And in that, Ali is mentioned directly and said that he shall, be of the pious and the one who will be granted his merit on the day of judgment. And he and his offspring are the patient. Something like that. So that would probably be very explicitly, proclaiming Ali as the next sort of chosen leader. But of course, that's controversial. Yeah, so that's from my side.
Okay. What did you feel?
What did I feel?
Yeah, what did you feel? Well, this is the knowledge you gave us. So what did you feel when you were discovering, subhanallah, two people bringing a verse saying that this is from Quran, and it is being written inside? So
yeah, I think for me it's also been a process of, like, say for example, if I had read this maybe 2 years ago, I would be a lot more shocked, because up until that point I was really believing in the divinity of the entire book as a single source, which I had always heard was flawless in its compilation and there were no controversies at all. So for me, like, over time it became less important for the Quran to be seen as a single divine complete source. So I wasn't that shocked anymore, but I was still shocked that this as a burden of proof was so low. Like, was there opposition even at that time saying clearly this is ridiculous? Or, like scholars later on saying, how is this acceptable as an approach? So I think for me, the shocking part isn't so much about the Quran itself, but about how limited the reaction from other scholarship is, as far as I've heard. Maybe there was opposition and I don't know about it. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Yasir, did you prepare? If you remember or not?
Okay, so I did some work on the first class, the second class.
Yeah, but Yasir, you are frozen.
Hello?
I can hear him.
Hello?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. I mean, I see a picture.
Yeah, the video is working for me.
Yeah, Yasser, you're fine for me too.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just you.
Yeah, it is not working. It's just you are frozen looking at the screen. Anyway, continue, inshallah.
Okay, I did some work on the first one, not the second class. I haven't actually looked at the video for the second class yet. So for the first one, I got myself into a bit of a mess, but I just tried to explain what I was looking at. So what interests me was fabricated hadith. And because we all talked about compilation of books and stuff like that, I was thinking that I'm gonna twist it a little bit and talk about hadiths that are not true. Why do people fabricate hadiths, for what purpose? And what are some of the examples of hadiths that are that maybe you've heard it to be hadith, but they are actually not hadiths. And so according to my research, there's actually 600,000 hadiths, but 400,000 of them are actually forged by about 600 forgers. So this is just copy and paste from somewhere Google. So there are a lot of hadiths out there that you might think are hadith, but they are actually not. And it ranged from stuff that seems pretty true to me. Seems pretty true. Like something about if you. I need to find the something about if you something about the wudu, where you've done your wudu and then after that. I have to look for it later. But one of the hadith, which is absurd. So you've got the serious and the absurd one, yeah. One of the absurd one is that the Prophet Muhammad has never seen the private parts of Aisha, and that is actually one of the fabricated hadiths. There are many reasons why people. I know. There are many reasons why people fabricate hadiths. It could be because of financial incentives. It could be just pure fanaticism. I have also some questions related to daily, what is that? The daily things that we do that are. Is it supposed to be hadiths, or are they just fabricated, like eating with the right hand and not the left hand, stuff like that? The usage of left hand and right hand. What are the things that are actually hadiths, and what are the things that are fabricated? It also goes to things like, okay, I know I'm crude. It also goes to things like holding, because this is something I notice a lot in Malaysia. Holding the penis with the left hand and not the right hand while urinating. So this is something that all the Malays in Malaysia do, and I just wanted to know if they are just fanatic, or is it something that is really in the hadith, stuff like that. So I'm not done with my work. It's just that there's too many information on the internet, but yeah. This is what I'm looking at right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Christian, we are at you now.
Yeah. Well, we talked yesterday. The last time we talked about Quranic sciences, and so we had different options to do homework. Either to look into the verses and find wahi in the verses and these kind of things, or to delve into Quranic sciences and see what you can find actually. And I started to well, first of all, I for quite some time I have some literature already, like these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an introduction into Quranic sciences from a German scholar or a sort of professor. Um, she's doing feministic exegesis on Qur'an, and so I went into the topic of, well, let's talk. I'd like to put into the situations when revelations came in, and so I went into one of the books I got as a PDF, and interesting was that I found a sort of difference in regard to what the first revelation was, in regard to traditional understanding, and in regard to modern scientific stuff. So, for example, there's a group around Angelika Neuwirth. She's a linguistic and Arabistic professor, working on a linguistic translation of Quran, and also on a linguistic compilation of certain aspects of the Quran. And she's working on that in
German.
It's in German. It's totally in German, and which is, I really hope that there will be an English translation for that, because it's really amazing. Because she, let me show you. So she divides up the Quran into of course Mecca and Medina surahs, but then she divides them up into subgroups of the Meccan area. So early Meccan, mid Meccan, and late Meccan, and then she also does it even more subgroups. So the early Meccan are divided in more subgroups, and actually.
Guys, did he go, or it's only for me again?
No, it's for everyone.
Yeah, I can hear him too.
Can you hear him?
No.
Christian.
Is he online?
Christian, you might need to dial back in if you can hear.
Was that him?
Oh, he's dropped out.
Yeah, he left.
Okay. Shall we wait a minute? Yeah, let's wait a minute.
Musab, I hope it's okay that I'm actually working on Hadith and not Quran, because
it's okay for
I just need to do something that interests me. So
for your own personal research, I would suggest to work on Hadith as well. But you also need to work on Quran, because our classes are about Quran.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Welcome back, Christian. Yeah, we were waiting for you.
Yes. All right. So that was interesting for me. So and then I went into that book. I have a printout here in that book. It was about the first revelation. Then then before the second revelation, there was a pause, which is called Fatra, and I found a hadith about that Fatra period, and how it stopped actually, but I haven't found the original yet. So I only have the German translation here, saying that somebody called Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari said that he heard Prophet saying, when I was going, I heard suddenly a voice from heaven. I looked up and saw the same angel which visited me in the Höhle, in the cave of Hira, and this angel was sitting on a chair between heaven and earth, and I got frightened and went home and put a blanket over me, and then Allah would talk to me and say, well, you who had covered yourself, stand up and warn whoever. And exactly. So, and from that moment on, the revelation came up again. So that was very interesting because I have found the hadith, like the numbering or the chain. Not yet, although I worked on that for at least half an hour on Google. So I'm really looking forward to find that where that is. So that's what I did on like revelation work.
Thank you very much. Actually, it's very interesting. The Fatra time. That there are discussions. When was the Fatra? Was the Fatra between the first and second, or first few, and then the later one,
yes.
Or maybe even later? Some says even actually almost 10 years later there was a Fatra. So this discussion goes on, but
also about the length. Scholars are not very clear about the length. I read that. It's very, very interesting because there are a lot of legends about the Fatra, how Muhammad pulled through, and these kind of things about faith and these things. Yeah.
Even there are narrations, traditions saying that he was so desperate he thought of suicide even. So because he couldn't take it, he was just feeling so bad. He was thinking he's mad. So the time they say it was 6 months or 3 years. So God knows the best. We shall say that. Yeah. So to pass to our today's class, we will finish where we left last session, and then hopefully we will continue with the order and chronology. So I will share with you my screen again. Just I need to arrange it first. Yep. Start from not from beginning, from current slide. Yeah. But I need to share with you, right? I forgot to do that. Share screen and sounds. No, I don't want to share sounds. So do you see my screen now?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
You see yourselves, right?
Yes.
And you see that Yasir is frozen, right?
I see that I'm frozen indeed.
Mr. Free.
So, we talked about previously. We talked about the revelation and the revelation types, and now we are going to talk about what was the language of revelation itself. So, the revelation we talked. Some of them came from Allah directly. Some of them came through dreams. Some of them came through Gabriel. So when it was coming from Gabriel, how it was? So regarding the revelation by angel Gabriel, there are a few possibilities. First, the meaning was revealed to Prophet from Gabriel, and he addressed what meaning he had already in Arabic. So this is Ibn Abdul Sulami's view from the 3rd century Hijri, not 3rd century of Anno Domini, okay? And the second one, please go away. Yeah. The second one, possibly the meaning was revealed to Gabriel from Allah, and then he addressed it in Arabic. Or even all of the verses on its own revealed from Allah to Gabriel in Arabic, and from Gabriel to Muhammad alayhi salam in Arabic. So there is the thing, like it goes from Allah to Gabriel, from Gabriel to Muhammad alayhi salam. So how did it go? Did Allah, when he was giving the revelation, did he give it in Arabic, or did he give it as meaning just revealed to the heart? Mm-hmm. So now we will talk about this a little bit deep. What about the order of the Quran? Was the order of the Quran done by Allah himself, or actually done by Gabriel or Prophet, or even later maybe Sahabas? So these views are expressed by Zarkashi. Do you remember Zarkashi? One of the first scholars of the Quranic sciences. Don't forget these names; they are important, guys. Zarkashi and Suyuti. These two are one of the main two figures of Quranic sciences. So he says, by the way, he is a very, very, very traditionalist Sunni. So his view here you will see quite rigid and very exclusive. So he says the dominant opinion is that which was revealed to Prophet was both words and the meaning from Allah directly. So the meaning, not only the meaning of Quran, but also the wording and every letter is revealed to Prophet directly by Allah. This is the dominant opinion. Don't forget, dominant opinion in Sunni traditionalist orthodoxy. And the second, there is a possibility. There is some people who say that Gabriel brought the meaning to Prophet, and Prophet would put them in his language, in his tongue, which actually for some makes more sense. And people who believed in this second opinion, prove their understanding, their argument through these verses. Brought down by the trusted Spirit upon thy heart. It was who brought it down upon thy heart. So here, these scholars who believe that Quran was revealed to Gabriel as meaning, and from Gabriel it was revealed to Muhammad alayhi salam as in meanings, and then Muhammad translated it in Arabic or put it in Arabic wording. They say, as we can see here, qalb, your heart. So heart does not have a language. In that sense, most probably what Gabriel brought was the meaning, not the language. So, but Zarkashi does not accept this, and actually, kind of, there is problems with these argument as well. Why? Because if we say that heart cannot contain any word, then where is this place of mind? Spiritually or philosophically, there are scholars who believe that mind is placed, or intellect is placed in heart, not in brain. So that's also quite a big discussion, by the way. And also these verses are not really proving the point, because they contradict with other verses, such as the sending down of the book is from Allah, Almighty, all the wise. Indeed, you receive the Quran from one who is all wise, all knowing. Do not move your tongue. So, before this, how can we reconcile between these verses and the previous ones? The previous ones are saying that he reveals it to your heart, and this one saying that it is revealed from Allah. What do you think? Do you think this argument saying that these two verses are disproving people's opinion who said that Quran was said in Arabic by Muhammad? Do you think so? Do you think these two verses are disproving that?
I don't think so.
Why not, and how?
Because this one says you receive the Quran from one who is all wise, all knowing, but it doesn't say in what form. So whether it's received by his heart, which doesn't have a language, or directly revealed in Arabic itself. You can't use it to prove either one. But the previous verse directly says it was revealed to your heart. And so maybe that might still have some meaning, that it wasn't like that Muhammad somehow had to translate it into a language or something like that. But you can't disprove that through this verse, I think.
What other things?
Well, in the second verses, it's not actually not mentioned where the message arrives.
Mm-hmm.
It's only said in the first verse. So that's here, right? Upon thy heart, exactly.
Yes.
Upon thy heart, and and when the other verses do not mention the heart as the tool, so to say, or the receptionist or whatever, there's no contradiction in my opinion, because it's simply not mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. Also, there is some other point. We should pay attention to this word, ruh. It says ruh brought it down to upon your heart. So here, when it talks about your heart, it is mentioned ruh, and the other verses they will talk about Allah giving it to you.
Yeah.
Allah giving it to you. And as you remember, from last session, we said there were few different types of revelation, and one of them was from Allah directly. One is from through a, what is it called? Through an angel, Gabriel, mostly, almost always actually. So when it was, there is other possibility to see that maybe when it was revealed by Allah directly, it was maybe possibly in Arabic, but when it was revealed by Gabriel, maybe it was just to Prophet's heart, and then Prophet was making it in Arabic. We will come to that again. But this verse is a little bit tricky. Do not move your tongue with it to hasten it. Indeed, it is upon us to put it together and recite it to you. And when we have recited it, follow its recitation, then its exposition indeed lies with us. So, what is the backstory of this verse? Let's go there. Prophet, supposedly, traditionally, Prophet was repeating the verses when he was getting them, to memorize them, not to forget them, because he was not writing down while he was receiving them. So, to not to forget, he was just reciting it quickly. You know, when you, for example, when you give a child that go buy butter, bread, tomato, pepper, and cheese, all the way along till the shop, he or she will repeat butter, bread, tomato, pepper, cheese, butter, bread. So Muhammad was doing this. He was repeating the verses in his tongue constantly, and not paying enough attention possibly to the verse. So that's why Allah says, do not do it. There is no need for that. We will make you memorize and know and grasp all of the verses. So this verse, in a way, shows that what it was revealed to Muhammad was not the meaning, possibly the wordings. What do you think about this?
Can I ask a question about
Sure.
who us refers to? Because when I read translation, sometimes us refers to the angels, but sometimes to God. So how do you know from the verse who this is referring to, unless you know the historical context?
Sorry, again.
So when I read translation, sometimes the sort of capitalized, self-describing nouns like us and we refers to angels. We sing the praise of Allah, for example, something like that. And here it says we have recited it, we put it together. How do you know which noun is referring to Allah and which noun is referring to the angels? Because if this refers to the angels, then they are still the ones reciting this.
So you know it from the previous. It is called siyaq and sibaq. But maybe if we have time, we can discuss that for a session as well. The previous verses and the later, the other next verses. If you are talking about a verse, you need to look a little bit up and a little bit down to see what's the context.
Okay.
Generally, you do that, but when the Quran talks about a divinely power and says we, I have so far never came across with that we as being angel. When Allah is talking about we, it seems it is always Allah Himself, and possibly if something else is involved, other angels possibly is involved as well. But generally, it is Allah Himself.
Okay, so in that case, it seems pretty clear that the final form is divine, and then Muhammad just receives that directly from this verse, I think.
Yeah, from this verse, I see it as like Allah Himself and possibly Gabriel as well, because he also does this job.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that Allah is actually slowing down Muhammad and saying, okay, well, wait. You can let me recite the correct thing to you, and then you can recite it again. So it's interesting that it seems that there's something in between a clear recitational idea of Muhammad and the recitational idea of Allah. So perhaps my first impression would be it's not that Muhammad got not a meaning, but something between a meaning and the concrete text, something in between, and he has to put it together, and then Allah says, no, I will put that together for you in a metaphysical way. It's difficult to say it. Actually, it's interesting.
Just here, Allah actually does not say recite after. Here, the historical context seems to be that Muhammad was trying to memorize while he was receiving the verses, and the verse says, when we are reciting to you, when we are telling you the verse, just listen the verse, and we will put it in your heart. Don't worry. Kind of, it is actually not like slowing down, possibly maybe more calming and making him feel better about not having being forced to memorize everything on the go. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Possibly.
Also, perhaps, I mean, if Muhammad was very eager to recite it immediately, he might have fear of losing the words, and that would be and Allah's intention would be that he should not fear, but he should actually follow the words.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, from that point, that's the problem we are facing right now, and that's why I said this verse is a little bit tricky. From that point, we understand that the verses were revealed in words. It seems so. Otherwise, why would Muhammad hasten to memorize them and move his? Actually, the verse itself says that don't move your tongue alongside, with quickly. You don't need to move your tongue quickly while we are reciting to you. There is no need that. So it seems Muhammad was alayhi salatu wasalam trying to memorize the words. So let's see what's the third one is Gabriel, who would unload them into Arabic language. So here the third approach is quite weird one. I don't know why even scholars came up with it, but anyway. So in this approach, they say Allah reveals it, the meaning to Gabriel, and then Gabriel reveals it in Arabic. So Muhammad again receives in Arabic, but not from Allah, from Gabriel in Arabic. So that's a little bit strange, and to be honest, it doesn't have any base.
Interesting. I'm sorry, But interesting is, in Germany, almost everybody believes that. I haven't found anybody who would like in not I don't speak for the imams or whatever, but for the normal Muslim people. Muslim people believe that Gabriel was giving the verses in Arabic to Muhammad. That's the idea.
But that's okay. But because there is two opinion in this as well. Okay, Gabriel was giving the words in Arabic, but was he receiving it Arabic as well? So some says yes. The first one, as we discussed, says yes, Gabriel was receiving them in Arabic. But this one says no, Gabriel was receiving them in meaning, but then translating it into Arabic. This is a little bit weird. I can understand people who believe that Gabriel gave every verse in Arabic, and it was asked by God to do so, and God gave them in Arabic as well. That's understandable in a way, to protect the Quran and make it unchanged, make it every single word and letter and even dots are from God, which does not belong to God. By the way, we will talk about dots. They are important. So when I can understand that, but I can't understand. To be honest, I am a little bit struggling with this opinion. Why Gabriel?
Who taught Jibril Arabic? It would have to be God. But why would you not trust Jibril's opinion that Jibril can translate into Arabic?
No, I don't have problem with that, but why?
I mean, for me, the whole question seems a bit irrelevant, right? Only the last part of the chain matters. Like everything that's divine is happening in a black box. If we don't understand it anyway, the output is Arabic verses from Muhammad.
I can understand why people would think about that who said the Arabic words. I can understand that because it's about the topic is nationalism. The topic is linguistic nationalism. The idea is, Arabic is such an important language to God that God gives the verses in Arabic to Gabriel, and Gabriel sends them over as well. And others would say no, but perhaps it's only the meaning which was passed on. So it's I can understand why people would think about that.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Also, there is a discussion which we didn't touch, or hopefully we will not touch as well. It's quite a big one. The creativeness of Quran. So, is Quran created or not created? This discussion actually is in early 9th century, Miladi, AD, early 9th century. This discussion actually took place in Islamic world, and to be honest, killed a lot of people. In 839 or 36, I am not sure now. In that year, that year is called Mihna. In that year, there was a big problem, especially from the government. Government became Mu'tazila, and they believed Quran was created, and whoever says Quran is not created are kafir. So they jailed them, they tortured them, they killed them. So in a way, this third one kind of tries to touch that part as well. So Sunni Orthodox belief is that Quran is not created. Mu'tazili belief is that Quran was created. So, what happens with this? If Quran is created, the words should be not from Allah. But if Quran was not created, even the words are from Allah. So that brings this topic. Actually, where this comes from is also actually very old discussions. Why relevant it is to us? Yeah, actually, let me ask you, why do you think these are relevant? Or is this conversation even relevant?
Again, I mean, I'm interested in the Mutazili tradition just in terms of like the whole rationalist philosophy angle, but whether the specific part of the Quran's creation is relevant or not, I'm not very sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. But also, how did they resolve the issue of like shirk then, or that the Quran existed since God existed or something
No,
like?
it isn't that way. Actually, it's quite, as I said, actually, it's a quite big topic. Maybe we should pass.
Okay, let's not.
Yeah, because it is about Quran being God's own word, and God's words cannot be created because it is like Him, eternal.
Okay.
You see where it is coming from.
Okay, cool. I
kind
don't
of-
have to agree with it, but fine. I
Yeah,
guess.
no, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
about agreeing or not. The Sunni believe that Allah's kalam, the being able to speak, this attribution is Allah's attribution, and this has always been with Allah. But Mu'tazilis believe that Allah doesn't have any attributions or possessions, any kind of sifa, what's the term I'm looking for? Like qualities. Yeah, he does not have any qualities. Only his qualities is to be eternal. So and to be one. So that's if we add more qualities, then he cannot be one. That's why they don't believe Allah is Allah, except Allah, everything is created. They believe, and including the Quran. Anyway. So this third view, it seems to prove that something else. They just try to make Quran on its own. The words, the letters are possibly created, but the meaning is not created. That's why the meaning, because the meaning comes from Allah, the word comes from Gabriel. So here's Al-Zarqani quite harsh. Says that some people sank low, claiming that Gabriel would bring to Prophet the meanings of Quran, and the messenger would express them in language of Arabs. Others claim that the wording was Gabriel's, and that God would only reveal the meaning to him. Both opinions are false and sinful, and clash with the explicit words of the scripture, Sunnah and consensus. So don't forget what he refers here. He refers here three main sources of Islamic law. What are they? Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma', which means consensus of Muslim world. So he says these opinions, the last two opinions, completely contradicts with three of them, which means they are kufr. They are not Islamic. They are not worth. Look at the sentence. They are not worth the ink they were written with. My belief is that it was interpolated into the Muslim's book. Otherwise, how could the Quran be a miracle if the wording was either Muhammad's or Gabriel's? Further, how could it be validly attributed to God if the wording is not God's? What do you think? So, first of all, I am not trying to ask you to have an opinion if the Quran, the words are Allah's or not, but if you have, please share it with us. Second of all, if you believe the words are not directly from Allah, so how do you answer this question? Please. Yasir, can we hear something from you?
Okay, this slide here, you said my belief. My belief is that your belief or Zakani's belief?
Sorry?
Yeah, this slide that you're showing right now?
Not mine.
This is the belief of our Zakanis, yeah?
This is the belief of Zarqani. Zarqani says that I believe these claims, arguments were put it in the books of Muslims. These are not even from Muslims, he says.
Okay, well, I think if it was just meanings that was passed down by Allah or Gabriel to Muhammad, and then if Muhammad would have to write them, then perhaps when he wrote them through the meaning, it would have a certain cultural context to it based on how things were back in those days. And I just want to rewind a little bit to the beginning as well, because because they're speaking in pronouns like first you say it was a spirit, and then it was Allah, and then it was Gabriel, and then after that let me just try to recall. Indeed, it is up to us to put it together to recite it. You see, they are using pronouns here: us, we, us. So it's also like who is us referring to? You know, I mean, of course, people would say us is Gabriel and Allah together. Is it Gabriel and Allah together? That's the question. Or us, as in Gabriel, Allah, and Muhammad. So I don't know. So anyway, I might be going off topic, but yeah, I mean, this is what is going on in my mind right now. So yeah.
Okay, not to direct you, but to clarify something. The spirit is as generally accepted, and Ruh is Gabriel himself. So as in Christian tradition as well, when they say Holy Spirit, they mean the angel Gabriel, as you know mostly. So spirit is generally Gabriel is generally referred as the spirit or the Holy Spirit. So the first verse is referring to Gabriel directly, and the second it says it refers to Allah. And as we discussed earlier, some verses of the Quran was revealed from Allah directly. Some verses were revealed through Gabriel. Allah revealed them to Gabriel, and then from Gabriel to Muhammad. Why? Actually, that's a good question for a homework. Yeah. Why, if Allah could, which we know He could, reveal all of the verses to Muhammad directly, why did He use angels? Yeah, actually, you can go and search for this one. For the pronoun, as I said, sometimes Allah uses we, and when it is in divine context, and when the verse is divine, the pronoun talks about a divinity. It seems it is mostly Allah, but sometimes it can include angels as well. So in some languages, I don't know, in English there isn't this. Actually in English as well. So in English there is thou and you, but thou is forgotten, and now you actually in fact was a plural, became dominant for plural and singular second person, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So in some languages you can use different what's it called, pronouns for more, or like in Hindi and Urdu, up the word up actually is plural you, but it can address, actually it is not just plural you, plural respected you, right? Noise, are you with us?
Yep, that's fine. Yep.
Yeah. You can help me here. The pronoun up means generally in Hindi is plural, respected second person, right? But it can.
I don't know about the plural, to be honest.
Okay, I was reading recently. It was showing that. Yeah.
Maybe, but you then have to add like another word that's saying people. So aap log, then you could use it in the plural. Otherwise, yeah, the respected sort of second person.
But it can be used for you personally.
Yeah.
And actually, the book was giving an example of aap being used even for the third person. Strange.
Yes. Yeah.
So see,
it's very rare usage, but you can use aap.
So in some languages you use pronouns a little bit more flexible. I don't know in Chinese if you can do, or if you speak Chinese and Malaysian, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't know if it happens, but in some languages you can use pronouns differently. It seems in Arabic and in Quran the word we sometimes refers actually I and Allah. In that sense, when he says we, he means I, and the I here refers to Allah, possibly. Back to the question.
Well, my approach to your question is what I think about that whole struggle or the conflict actually is I learned from Quran and from Muhammad a bit more pragmatic. And when I look upon the overall picture, one of the important things we are taking into consideration in different areas is the intention. So we are expected to have a clear intention to pray, and also we take into account that Allah has a certain kind of intention when he or she when Allah is speaking or giving us support. So there is obviously the interest of guiding us, and in my opinion, it is a interesting historical thing that people fought and died over this kind of conflict. In the end, we should look upon what Allah really intends to in regard to for us, and not in which way we shouldn't actually kill each other about struggling in which way the revelation came in my opinion.
Thank you. Moise, would you like to add something? Or
yeah, I just disagree with this because he seems to have a very high standard for what other people should prove, but have a very low standard for himself. So, for example, if he says, can you validly attribute to God wording that is not God's, but at the same time says that the Sunnah is a important source, then that seems to be a bit of a paradox within his own thinking. Yeah, exactly, because can you validly attribute anything to Muhammad that you are then using through an isnad of like 4 or 5 people, but at the same time worry about if it didn't directly come from God, is it God? So I would say that. Or the other thing is, how could the Quran be a miracle if the wording was either Muhammad's or Gabriel's? By that logic, nothing is a miracle, because if Jesus walked on water, is the miracle from God or is it from Jesus? Because the miracle was conducted through somebody else. So I think he is being unnecessarily difficult.
Or unnecessarily orthodox.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. Here is a very interesting opinion from Al-Juwayni. There are 2 kinds of revelation. One is where God tells Gabriel to say to Prophet, do such and such a thing, or God commands such and such a thing. Gabriel would receive the meaning and cast it onto the Prophet's heart. The second, where God would say to Gabriel, recite such and such thing to Muhammad. This he would deliver it wording he received without any change, just as kings would write down a message and send it to him, send it to someone, and send it through a messenger to deliver it to someone. So here Al-Juwayni says there is 2 types, and possibly one is directly comes from Allah with word by word, because Allah asks recite it. Allah doesn't tell Gabriel to say it to Muhammad. He says recite it to Muhammad. And there is other verses. He says Allah says tell him to do this. So possibly maybe some of the verses were revealed in Arabic directly from Allah, but some of them were not. But Al-Khayyat al-Mu'tazili, he rejects what I said right now to Muhammad ibn al-Sulami, saying that now may God guide you to the goodness, that Muammar used to claim that it was God who spoke the Quran, that the Quran is God's speech, His words and His revelation, and His sending down. No one but He said it or spoke it. He also believed that the Quran was temporarily created, brought into being after it did not exist. So some Al-Khayyat al-Mu'tazili says actually he didn't mean what he said. So how do you assess the story of Waraqa bin Nawfal directly to the above discussion, when he heard that Muhammad heard from Allah? Do you remember the story? He comes home and he is quite frightened, and he tells everything to Khadija, and Khadija takes him to his uncle or cousin or some relative whose name is Waraqa bin Nawfal. Okay, this is another homework then. Okay?
To find out what the story is?
Not just what the story is, and how do you assess this story with the discussion?
Okay.
This is one. You can choose either of them, by the way. You don't have to do all of them. That would be better, actually, the best. You can choose Waraqa bin Nawfal, compare how do we relate this, and you can even choose this question and maybe talk a little bit more about this. How can we attribute it to Allah if the wording is not Allah's, and how can we say Quran is a miracle if it comes from Muhammad or Gabriel? Which actually Moise put it very nicely, but we can go further and discuss. And yeah, I guess this finished. Yeah, and the slideshow. Yeah, from beginning, or did I do anything? Yeah, maybe. Let's go. Okay, Scribes of Revelation. This is quite quick. Hopefully, I hope so. We will finish it quickly. So Ali was one of the main scribes of the Quran, and he did it from the beginning till the end. He says, in many occasions, he says there is no verse that he didn't write it down or didn't hear it from Muhammad or didn't tell it to someone else. So all of the verses, when they were revealed first, he went through all of them. And from history, we also know that he was actually the first Muslim after Khadija, so that's possible.
Can I ask what's the source of those?
These ones?
Yeah.
Just let me check. I think it was, I took it from Nahj al-Balagha.
Okay.
Nahj al-Balagha is a compiled book, like Bukhari kind of, but it is khutbah, the Friday and other days, like sometimes Eid, sermons of Imam Ali.
So Sunni sources may or may not agree to all of those.
No. May or may not. That's true, but not this one. This one you can find it in Sunni sources as well. It is very well known that Ali was from childhood. He was always brought up with Quran.
Okay.
Actually, that's from Sunni sources. I haven't checked, but you can find it easily. It is well known that Ali was always dealing with Quran and around it.
Okay.
Yeah. See, this is. But why didn't I write it? Yeah, sorry for that. I should have written it. Maybe next time, inshallah. Or I will send it to you, all of it. When I send, I will put more details, inshallah. The first person who did this job was in Medina was Ubay bin Ka'b al-Ansari. He was one of the first and few people who could write Quran, and he asked him to write entirely. He took Quran entirely, and actually he also helped in Osman's times. He also helped the rewriting of Quran. So you remember in the beginning of this session, I said when we were talking about the compilation of Quran in Osman's times, the Quran was written few more times. Like there were few more copies. They made it to send other cities. And Ubay bin Ka'b al-Ansari was helpful there as well. And another scribe was Zayd bin Thabit. And Ubay, when Ubay was not around, generally Prophet would ask for Zayd to write it. So Zayd, writing his letters in order. And by the way, Zayd is a strange person. I mentioned. I was thinking maybe I haven't. Yeah, actually, see here, the Prophet instructed him to learn Hebrew in Jewish schools, and to help him write these letters in Hebrew. So, actually, that's also a good question for you to search if you would like. What is the writing style of Quran? So we know modern day Arabic alphabet developed from an alphabet that they used to write Quran. That alphabet is called Kufi script. So why the early scribes chose Kufi script over Hebrew or Nabatean script? That's a good question, by the way. But strangely, they were discussing which alphabet should they choose. Should they choose Nabatean? Should they choose Syriac? Should they choose Kufi, which is also half Syriac, half Nabatean, or should they choose Hebrew? Because all of them are, by the way, Semitic alphabets. They all come from Phoenician alphabet, which also is the root, strangely, root of Latin and Greek alphabet, by the way. So it's strange, right? Arabic alphabet shares the links with Latin alphabet.
So there was no fixed Arabic script at that time?
No, not at all. Okay. The Arabic script actually, maybe we should check, but Arabic script was called Kufi, and it did not have dots, and it did not have haraka, which is the vowels. Yeah. So it had only straight writing, connected writing. So Hebrew, the Semitic alphabets are into three, but the third one we will exclude because it is in North Africa, which didn't touch to this our context. So let's talk about these two. One is separate alphabets like Hebrew and main Nabatean. The other is connected, leisured. What is it called? Leisured? I don't remember the correct term. The connected alphabet, which is like Syriac alphabet and modern day Arabic alphabet and early Kufi alphabet. So Zayd, this guy, he learned Hebrew and possibly even Syriac. He learned and to write Quran, and then in the end they chose Kufi alphabet instead of others. Possibly, actually, there were some discussions. Earliest written Qurans, like early when they were writing, possibly they were written in Nabatean script. But then they decided on Kufi script, and they continued with that tradition. So main, official, and continuous. This is important. Continuous scribes were Ali, Ubay, and Zayd. The others were just sometimes they were writing and sometimes not writing. There is, for example, some narrations about Muawiyah ibn Sufyan being a scribe. It actually goes like that. So the father of Muawiyah comes to the Prophet and he says, "People don't like me because I fought with you for years. Can you, and my son also, can you bless me with letting my son write something for you?" And that it seems Prophet ﷺ accepted and let Muawiyah write something from Quran. So that makes him kind of scribe as well, because in the early times the papers are not going you cannot find papers from the stationery shops. Yes. So writing something was important because it was almost impossible to delete it again. So in a way, most of the other scribes, they just wrote sometimes one line, few pages or few times, and then they didn't continue. But these three are the main continuingly writers. which we talked about that. Yeah, the first from Quraysh to write for him was Abdullah bin Sa'ad bin Abi Sarh. He migrated. Yeah, that's strange as well. He migrated with him to Medina. Then he fled to Mecca. He is one of the earliest scribes. So this is important. He is one of the earliest scribes, but he reconverted to Meccan religion. Like, he denounced Islam and he rejected Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and he even made fun of the revolution, and he even said some stuff like about writing. There are some narrations, strange narrations. Actually, that's a good homework as well if you want to take. Check the sayings of Ibn Abu Sarh. He says, like, Muhammad was telling me to write A, B, C, I would write C, B, D. Like, he just says that most of the revelation is just it's just made up by me. I wrote some stuff that were not part of Quran, that were not part of what he was telling me. He says a lot of stuff, and he makes a lot of fun of revelation.
So now we know where the single letters come from.
Oh no, that was an example. Like, no.
But yeah, that would be the perfect explanation for it, wouldn't it?
That would be, actually, but it is not. No. What I meant was, he says, yeah, Muhammad would tell me to write such and such and such, but I wouldn't write. I would write something else.
Yeah, weird.
I just want
one of his sayings. He would say to Quraysh, I would turn Muhammad any way I wanted. He would dictate me to mighty wise, and I would write all-knowing and wise. He would say, leave it, of course, Allah is all-knowing and wise. So he says, although I was writing wrong, Muhammad was saying that it's okay. But his examples generally are so not really important. So instead of mighty, he wrote all-knowing. So both are Allah's attributions, and Muhammad would say, leave it, it's okay, of course Allah is all-knowing and wise. What do you think about this, if it is true?
Well, if it would be true, which we only can guess, it still would give the opportunity to say that the Quran is tampered with, and not exactly the word of God, and that even the prophet would tamper with the word of God, and so that would be like the perfect opportunity to start a war, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like, yeah, even the prophet says, oh, I don't care about the word of God. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree with that. The whole previous discussion about the sources and whose meaning it is and whose language it is would all be irrelevant. And
yeah, there are other verses as well talking about Muhammad alayhi salam saying that it's okay if you use this word instead of that. They are similar meaning. There are some not verses, the traditions. So supposedly this verse is revealed about this guy who is a greater wrongdoer than him, who fabricates a lie against Allah, or says, it has been revealed to me while nothing was revealed to him, and he who says, I will bring the like of what Allah has sent down. Who can say that? He was later made the governor of Egypt by the third caliph, because he was his foster brother. So strange, no?
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I really like that.
The guy is a crazy lunatic. He converts Islam, and then he becomes one of the first scribes of Islam. And he writes about this. He writes about Quran a lot. He writes Quran, and then at some point when they were in Medina, and he also migrates Medina. And when they were in Medina, he decides going back to his own religion. Who knows why, by the way? I don't know. And then he goes, and then he makes fun, and then he mocks, he does a lot of stuff. And even a verse reveals about the guy condemning his behavior, and then after the conquer of Mecca, he again becomes Muslim. And Osman, the third Khalifa, makes him the governor of Misr, Egypt. So strange. I have never heard about his words after he reconverted to Islam. He didn't denounce what he said, actually, you know? He didn't. I don't know, or I don't know if he said that, oh, what I said was wrong, I was lying.
I'm going to do my homework about this guy.
That's so nice. I will write down the name for you.
Yeah, this is crazy. This guy, I like that.
Okay. The chronology of revelation. Shall we leave it here, or what? How do you feel, guys? Let me see your faces so I can decide. Oh,
my face is frozen too.
You are all frozen, so I don't see any of you. Yasir seems he wants more.
I can't hear you, Yasir.
I can't hear Yasir.
I have some questions, actually.
Sure.
Because just now you said that the scribes of Revelation. Okay, so some was written in Hebrew, some was written in Kufic, some was written, I don't know, in other form of writings. Are they just letters, but when spoken it is still Arabic? It's like I can write Arabic in English, Romanized version of Arabic. So I don't understand that part. Is it Hebrew in Hebrew meanings? Yeah.
Okay. For the next time, I am saying this. When you have questions, just stop me. So not in the middle of what I am saying, but when I pass that topic, stop me. We will discuss in detail. I don't want any of you to leave this session forgetting your questions. When you have your questions are more important than what I am saying, in a way, you know.
Okay.
Really, they are so valuable. Please, when I finish,
I didn't want to interrupt. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's very kind of you and very lovely. There is very lovely behavior. We lack it a lot. But when I finish the topic, just maybe I should ask more if you have any question. Yeah, maybe I will do that one. Yeah, I will do in every few minutes. I will ask this question. So back to your question. I didn't say Quran was written in all of those. No, when Quran was revealed, so what we are saying is a word, right? You can write these what I am saying, you can write in any alphabet. So what Quran was revealed in Arabic, so-called, or Muhammad was saying it in Arabic, but they were using Hebrew alphabets to write it down, or Kufi alphabets to write it down, or Nabatian alphabets to write it down. You got it?
So it is like using English to write down Arabic.
English letters, Roman letters. So Malaysian is written in two alphabets, right? Malaysian.
It's just ABC, A to Z, ABC. Yeah.
Okay, it's modern Malaysian then.
Oh, that's Jawi. Yeah, the Jawi. Yeah.
Early Malaysian was written in Arabic alphabet.
Yes, that's right. It's Jawi. It's a form of Arabic.
So, and also, for example, this is between us. Do not tell this to anyone. So Hindi and Urdu, they are not two separate languages, by the way. I don't want to go that discussion again. Sure. So this language, Hindustani language, is written with Arabic alphabet and Devanagari script, Hindi alphabet. A few days ago we were discussing about that, and Moise speaks Hindi, and he learned the Hindi through Devanagari and then a little bit Urdu. But when we were talking, someone Urdu speaker, I mean, it was amazing to see their conversation about same language, but the letters different. So they express it. Similarly, when it was written, then Don't forget that before Muhammad alayhi salam, almost all of the Arabic literature, not literature, it wasn't literature, Arabic knowledge was oral.
Yes, that's
Okay.
that's the point when we see upon the earliest written Quran corpus. It was noted down without any vocals and without any dots. So the people were talking to each other, and the different clans had different words also, and all the words based on three letters. And so they wrote it they wrote that down then, and they actually could have decided in a different language, because in my opinion Hebrew was an option because of the Jewish tribes. There were Jewish nomadic tribes that were there in Arabia, so they were also influenced by Jewish culture.
So this is the now I am sharing my screen. So this is, do you see now?
It's still loading.
Okay.
Not yet.
No?
No, it's still loading. I can't see it.
Allah Allah, what happened? Do you see me now? No.
I can't see you either.
So what do you see then?
Now I see your small image.
Yeah, the screen is just black.
But the screen is just black, yeah.
So okay. Do you see me now?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. Now I am sharing my screen again. Do you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen now.
Now I can see it.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is one of the, not the earliest, by the way. This is after almost two or three centuries.
Yes.
Don't forget again. Just bear in mind. Still see that differences from the modern Quran. You know the modern Quran writings, right, guys? A little bit like knowledge about the letters. So
Yeah.
it was not this one. It was like this.
Yeah.
Actually, you can read it. La ilaha illallah here. And Allah la ilaha illahu. Yeah. So here it is the Kufi script, the earliest scripts. One of the earliest scripts. This is one of the one we had, and as you can see, there is no dots.
No dots, no vocals.
There is no dots. There is no vowels. This is not early. Yeah, it is. Actually, this one is a very interesting one. This one is from a time that the voweling was almost like around. People were doing. So this one has the normal script, the normal text is written, and then later added the vowelings. Two different ink is used. It clearly shows that two different ink is used about this one. I
read that the vocalization was done in red.
Yeah,
right?
The early times actually. It's not just Quran. It is Semitic. It was Semitic tradition. Syriac is also vocalization was written in red. But the thing is, so in Quran you see three things. First, you see the connecting letters, as I show here, right? These letters. The second, you see dots, diacritical points, and the third, you see the vowels. So the problem is dots are to differentiate between two consonants. So, but before, in the early stage, dots were used to make it they were used for vowelings, and then Later on, they were used for differentiation of the consonant, and then they added different stuff like the lines for the voweling. So it has a stage. It has some stages. So some Qurans we can find dots instead of the voweling stuff. Anyway, this is quite detailed and a little bit boring, maybe, if it is not interesting at all. So, guys, you know your homeworks, and I hope I answered Yasir your question. It was like early when they were discussing, they were talking about the scripts, which one should they use. They never, as far as I know, they never used Hebrew. They used Nabatean script for a while, or just few times maybe. I'm not sure even for a while, but they then they decide on Kufi script, which was good. The thing is, they didn't use any of the scripts because Syriac script was used by Christians. Nabatean was used by polytheists. Hebrew was used by Jews. It seems Muslims later decided on Kufi because they didn't want to be linked with any of the other traditions. Because Kufi was not really used at all. It was just there, southern polytheists, but they all became Muslim already, so there was no one using Kufi for polytheist purposes. You see, it seems they decided on Kufi. This is my theory. I mean, from my readings, I came up with this. It seems they decided on Kufi because they realized no other religious tradition is using Kufi as their religious writings. Anyway, guys, so we are finishing it here, inshallah, today. And
can I ask a last question?
Sure.
Why was Ali not visible in any of the compilation hadith, or like historically? Is that something he talks about in the Najul Balaga?
Yeah, it is talked about. It is actually studied. What do you think if I give it to you as a homework?
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, but if you need any starting points, just write me. I will just help you, inshallah, with that.
All right, thanks.
Okay, and Christian, are you okay?
Yes, I'm very okay. I'm very much looking forward to delve into the life of Abdullah. This
Okay.
is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
I'm gonna send his correct name. And Yasir, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I need to catch up, actually. I have missed class and stuff like that. So I missed Christian's cat, actually. Where's your cat, Christian?
Here she is.
She seems quite a nice one. Mine is very naughty. She never stays in my lap. She always scratches me.
I have two, actually.
Oh.
I have two. This is the older one. She's going on 16 now, and the younger 16? One is 16. 1-6. Yes.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me? Really?
And she's very agile. She is a bit more quiet nowadays, but she still is very demanding. If she wants something, she's really yelling at me and these kind of things. So yeah. Very, very licky. She's licking me all over if I don't stop her. And Tiffy is lying here and sleeping right now. She's 2 years old.
Okay. Yeah. I just sent you the name. What was this? Yeah. Okay.
Super.
Okay, guys, take care, inshallah. See you in 2 weeks' time, I suppose. Is it 2 weeks or?
Let me think. It's